Good evening, wherever you are in the world. Mark Allen Grollo here. If you are joining live, I would love to know in the chat, where are you in the world? Happy Thanksgiving to American friends who are watching from the US. It is Thanksgiving Day over there. Canada, we had our Thanksgiving last month. We do it in October because it gets pretty dang cold here. And but I think our customs are pretty similar in terms of eat a lot of turkey and stuff like that. You guys have football in the mix, I understand, down there in the States. But other than that, everything is pretty similar. Get stuffed, hit the couch, have family around. So, yeah, let me know if you are watching live. Hit up the chat because I do want to talk to you about today's topic, how to set your prices. But I also want to engage with you, and you can ask me anything at all. I'm using a brand new platform today called Restream. Still getting used to it, kicking the tires. Gwen is here. Love it. Good to see you, Gwen. And Donna is here. North Carolina in the house. Thanks for making some time. Are you guys on vacation today? Holiday? No work? Or is there any rest for a wedding officiant? Any weddings coming up? Today, my drink of choice is today's fueled by the very polarizing coffee with eggnog added. But it is that time of year. I try to hold off on the eggnog until this week, once my American friends are able to celebrate Thanksgiving and then move on. Gwen says, always a wedding coming up, but none today. Right. And Donna is making beef Wellington. How British of you in North Carolina. Oh, awesome. Donna, you have, that's amazing. You're going to officiate for your niece. Congrats to you. Congrats. Yeah, if you are watching live, welcome. I'm thrilled to be on with you today. I plan to do a lot more of this. That's why I have a brand new streaming platform where I can simultaneously beam out to YouTube and Facebook. Just noticed I have an interesting sunspot here. That'll be very interesting as the broadcast goes on. Liz is here. Hey, Liz. Good to see you. And in 2 weeks, you have one. Weddings kind of calm down a bit in November, although I do have one in December, the first week of Saturday, the second Saturday of December. So pick up kind of a Christmassy thing. And if you are here and you're one of my couples watching, welcome to you as well. I know I have two kind of different audiences, you could say, both of which don't really know that the other exists a lot of the time. I, of course, officiate for couples. And so I deal with couples and clients. And then, of course, the other half of my business is teaching and sharing how to do this, other officiants and celebrants all over the world, how to officiate and deliver an incredible ceremony. So, yeah, Gwen, I have two on New Year's Eve, which is my anniversary as well. But my wife said, that's okay. You can go to work. We'll celebrate New Year's Day or the second, or we usually go away or some sort of retreat. Carol is here. Man, I love all the familiar faces. So good to see you. Hey, and yes, spirit-wise, good to see you. So I just wanted to come on here. We could small talk all day. And I do, if you can hang in, I would love to answer any and all questions you might have about wedding ceremonies, about the business side. Carol says, good morning. I don't know if that was like a typo, but sometimes it is very apt of how we feel, isn't it? Good morning. So this streaming platform, as I mentioned, it's brand new, but I can see I'm streaming to Facebook and YouTube. So I can see that Gwen is watching on YouTube and Carol's on Facebook. And again, if you're chiming in, let me know where you are watching from. People all over the world. are officiating weddings, and that is what I love. I'm just so excited to talk to all of you. So Eric says you did both your sister's weddings. Yeah, and everyone told you what an amazing experience it was. And that made you think you could do this professionally. I know, right? Once you get a taste of that first one and people say it is absolutely incredible, man, there's just something about it. Tony's here watching from New York. Hey, Tony. Salt Lake City, Utah, voluntaryist, but it's Eric. Thanks for saying Eric, so I don't have to say voluntaryist all the time. But yeah, there is that. I think a lot of people who find me, they get asked to officiate a wedding. They are terrified. Thank you for the segue, Eric, into what I want to talk about today. They're just going on the internet. Many of you found me that way, to not suck, to not bomb. Then you find out that on your very first try, you can absolutely rock a wedding ceremony. And it might be unlike any other ceremony you've seen. That's an interesting experience of folks who I train and watch my videos, whether it's the paid program or YouTube. When you find out, first of all, that a wedding can be unlike anything you've ever seen, that's a bit disorienting. You're like, I didn't know that it could be fun and interesting. And then you're the one actually delivering that experience. People in the seats and the couple themselves are usually just as shocked as you are when you're the one up there saying, oh my gosh, this can be incredible. So a lot of you know that I'm on a mission that many of you have joined me on, to unboring weddings throughout the world. Yes, that can be a verb and an adjective. You are helping me to unboring weddings. Weddings can be absolutely fantastic. But to Eric's point, you do it, you rock it, and then you say, I want to do that again. Now, fortunately, this is another thing I love. Even people who just grab my quick emergency procrastinators coaching package, they also crush it, even if, I just get on the phone with them, a couple days before the ceremony. And at the reception, this is where friends and family, you're fortunate. You get to go to the reception and hear about what an amazing job you did, get slaps on the back, get drinks bought for you, whatever. I typically just, go find the couple, give them a big hug and say goodbye. And I don't crash their wedding party because, typically the couple are the only people I know. They're a little bit busy. It's all their friends and family. But friends and relatives who officiate, you get to go to the reception and be hailed as the conquering hero, and everyone's thanking you for that incredible experience. And so I'm slightly envious of that on the one hand. And on the other, though, that is where a lot of you get asked right there on the spot, hey, I've got a wedding coming up, or yes, my niece is getting married or something, and you get asked to do it again. It's pretty hard for people who only expect to and even want to do it once to only do it once. Much to their hesitation, they get roped into doing it again. And I think that's why, coming out of my Unboring Wedding Academy, a lot of folks, and some of you are here in the chat, a lot of you started asking me, how do I go pro? How do I start doing this for other couples? Because you love it so much. Couples love it so much. It's a service that people want you to provide, but you don't know how to do it. Maybe you've never been entrepreneurial and the whole wedding business is new and intimidating and scary and all that stuff. And so you just kind of say, I don't know, you sit on it. You don't do anything with it. And that is an injustice to the world. People need unboring weddings. People want you to officiate a wedding. And so my audience said, Mark, can you teach us how you got into the business side? And without going into my long origin story here, I did the same thing. I started officiating very hesitantly, started loving the experience, needed to jump into going full-time, going pro. And so now I have finally created a course, Unboring Wedding Pro. Unboring Wedding Academy is about how to rock the ceremony. Unboring Wedding Pro launches tomorrow. It's all about the business side, strategies to get found on the internet, even if it's a very crowded market of officiants, and get booked by couples. Now, I want to go into the chat here and just make sure I'm not losing anyone. Ben is here. Hey, Ben. So great to see you. Donna did her first one in France. Everyone raved. Never had seen such a fun time. Didn't see the time pass. I know. That's another thing, Donna. A lot of couples, officiants find me and say the couple said they just want 10 minutes, which is a huge indication of how couples are just like, oh gosh, we just want to get through the ceremony and get to the fun. And I always assure anyone taking my course or my training and saying, yeah, the couple said that, but they don't know what's about to hit them. No couple, halfway into an unboring wedding ceremony is looking at their watch saying, we're at 15 minutes here. Can we wrap this up? So they're giving you that time limit thinking that the ceremony is going to be a certain way and feel a certain way. And it turns out to be quite different. Tony says your video helped me do my first wedding, and the guests approached me and loved the uniqueness of the delivery. Awesome, Tony. Liz says she's losing me. Okay, well, I hope that's not my internet connection. I am hardwired. Are you driving? Are you in a tunnel, Liz? Tony said the bride wanted to tip you for the great job. Sometimes we get tips, which is nice. Hey, Sam is in the house. Hey, Sam. Sam, I've been on the phone with Sam. We've chatted about business, and this is long before I even launched the pro course. So Sam is another example of somebody who called me and said, I'd like to do this professionally, which it's folks like you, Sam, that kind of put the fire under me to say, I think I should put a course out there on how to get started. And that is really why I came on here today and what I want to talk about. I do want you to know about my Unboring Wedding Pro course launching tomorrow. And so this is a part of that. I just feel like everyone needs to know about this because it is so relevant to a lot of you who get in front of people, blow everybody away, and then want to get going. Carol says she's watching from Holland Landing. I've been there. You have one more wedding in December. Great. 16 ceremonies since June's. Bookings for next year. Awesome, Carol. Congrats to you. Yeah, my 2022 is booked. And that is true for many wedding pros, vendors who from photographers, venues, because of the COVID stuff, everybody moved to 2021. Everybody thought it would be over. Here in Canada, we're still doing masks and things like that, some restrictions. And so couples are just bailing to 2022. And so it is a very busy year. Hey, I see Limbo Man. Oh yeah, I know who that is. Thanks for the wishes of the pro launch, Samson. And Sam Lopez is here. Thank you for referring. Wow, Laura just quit her full-time job to pursue officiating full-time in Jasper. Oh my gosh. Believe it or not, I haven't made it to Jasper yet. I went to the Yukon with some friends in an SUV many years ago, and we took the Yellowhead, and I just swung north of Jasper. So that's still on my bucket list, but congrats. And there are more and more officiants joining the Unboring Wedding community from Alberta, I've noticed. Whether it is marriage commissioners or folks like that. So unfortunately, Canada has some of the strictest officiating rules. Only lawyers or clergy can do it. And so that often means that the weddings are not that great. So anytime I see someone like Laura coming in and saying, hey, I want to really give my time to this, man, kudos to you, because people in Alberta have got it made in terms of wedding ceremonies. Okay, so it's been about 15 minutes. I could go on all day with you guys. You know that. I've never been accused of being short-winded or wanting to get off camera. But I do want to talk about how to set your prices as a new wedding officiant or celebrant. I get asked this question all the time. I have been emailing my list this past week about tomorrow's pro launch event. And believe it or not, that is a question that is just coming in from many people on my email list, just kind of spontaneously saying, yeah, your pro course sounds awesome. Here's what I want to charge. What do I charge? And so that question comes up a lot. And so I really do want to talk about that today. So Liz says it's going in and out. I do believe this will be recorded and posted. But as I said, this is my first time on this stream. Uh, and but I do believe it shows up as a live event that then gets saved and shared out on YouTube and Facebook as well. So, Liz, hope your connection improves. I hope a lot of you are not undergoing similar difficulties with my setup here. Anyway, here's what I advise about getting started as a new wedding officiant or celebrant. When you want to, whatever circumstances cause you to say, I mean, Laura just said, okay, I want to go pro, I quit my job. Whenever you're thinking about putting yourself out there, hanging your shingle on the internet, and saying, I want to officiate a wedding professionally in exchange for, and I say this in the course, when you're doing this in exchange for money, not favors or muffins anymore, like maybe you started with family members, or, I'll buy you a drink after the ceremony, thanks for officiating. When you want to do this professionally, you need to set prices. The very first thing that I advise is figuring out what kind of services you want to provide. Typically, there are three kind of tiers that you can offer as a wedding officiant or celebrant. I had to think these through really deeply when I was getting started as a wedding officiant. There's a book written by Pat Flynn called Will It Fly? Really helped me design my life, quote unquote. I know that is a bit of a almost like a hashtag now, design your life, really thinking about the way that you want your life to look and live. I think this book, but it was like 2016 or something like that when I grabbed Pat's book and read it, and it helped me make a lot of decisions in terms of, yes, this thing might be successful. That's a big thing about Pat Flynn's book. Imagine the thing that you're starting out is wildly successful. What do you think about, close your eyes and imagine. So for me, it was actually a radio station that asked me to go live every single day on the drive home show, and kind of be a drive home DJ, 2-3 hours live on the radio. And that was very flattering. Of course, from what I'm doing now, you can gather I'm suited to it. But when I read that book and thought about the life of what that means, being on the radio from whatever, 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock every day, going to the station, leaving the station, coming home, missing all the dinner times, all that stuff, I realized, wait a second. If that were wildly successful and I was doing that 5 days a week for years, and I was the new radio Oprah or something like that, that's still not the kind of life that I actually want to live. So that is important. I mean, I had choices. I know sometimes if you're painted into a corner, you got to do things for a short period of time, et cetera, et cetera. But that is the way to think about what you're offering as a brand new wedding officiant with those three tiers. A lot of people reach out to me and they say, okay, so I'm offering the three tiers being an elopement. So typically when you start out as a wedding officiant or you're professional on the internet, you'll see most officiants have three packages. There's the elopement package, which is essentially, okay, for a very small fee, I will meet you and sign some papers and run you through the legalities of whatever is required in your jurisdiction. And that's a very low price package, very quick kind of wham bam package. Only the two of you and maybe the witnesses and a photographer. The second thing is often like a small ceremony, which is a limited number of guests, 20 guests and under. It's maybe a bit quicker, no rehearsal, no wedding parties, that kind of thing. And so you'll set that a bit higher than the elopement price, but still offer that and say that's kind of my middle package. And then the deluxe ceremony is your highest price package, kind of your gold, if you're thinking gold, silver, bronze, suited to the needs of different couples and what they want. The gold will be, you've got a wedding party, you're going to have 100 guests, we need to do a rehearsal, et cetera, and set the price for that. So the first step would be thinking through what packages you want to offer. You might think you need to start out offering all the packages that a typical wedding officiant or celebrant offers. I can't say that's not the case. Here's a couple of things that you need to take in mind, though, when you are if you decide to say, okay, I'm going to I'm going to offer all three tiers: the elopement, the small ceremony, and the full-blown deluxe. The one of the main things, hey, John is on here. John and I have emailed about this recently. Good to see you, John. The one thing to consider is you can and this happened to me. I started officiating. I just started offering quick elopements. Couple of things. First of all, when you offer elopements, they are cheaper and they're quicker, so you can do a lot more of them. So that is true. So my calendar started filling up with quick, cheap elopements when I was starting out and launched out and went pro. The issue was, typically these don't book up too far in advance. So that is one of the pluses. The issue was then I would start getting contacted as I officiated more and more large ceremonies by couples willing to buy the expensive package, who wanted their guests to have that incredible unboring experience, tell their love story, have the fun rehearsal with all their wedding guests, all that good stuff, not their wedding guests, their parties, that kind of thing. And so I'd go into my calendar when I got an inquiry and see that on Saturday at 4 o'clock, I had booked a quick wham bam elopement and had to say no to the big ceremony. That was kind of the kiss of death, I realized, if I was trying to get to the point where I wanted to become known as the big wedding officiant, right? Who did great ceremonies and provided amazing experiences at the biggest venues for the biggest weddings. That was my goal because that was just right for me. I've talked to John about this. This is how I'm wired. I love getting in front of the people and all the pictures I see behind me, the laughing, the crowd, that is what I love. Elopements, I can do them. They're delightful. They're emotional. They just don't make me quite as excited as the big jittery wedding experience. And nothing has shown me that more than COVID. COVID, a lot of couples that continued and said, we're going to stick with our wedding. The wedding sizes shrank, due to public health regulations that were very important and all that stuff. But I would get to the wedding and kind of look out and be like, man, I just know what this can be when it's 150 people, and the jitters and the nervousness. And I actually love that and thrive on that. So the first thing was, going back, that when you officiate elopements, you might see your calendar filling up where you're too busy to take the big ceremonies when they are when you get an inquiry. Now, one way to prevent that is to only do elopements from like Monday to Thursday. So I know a lot of officiants and celebrants say, I'll do elopements Monday to Thursday. And if you've got the time, the bandwidth, the energy to do that, that is a way to keep that element of your business going while also safeguarding against your weekends, because of course Friday, Saturday, Sunday is typically when the big ceremonies happen. So that is the first thing. The second thing to consider is about elopements is you're only going to get to a certain price ceiling with elopements. Let's face it, an elopement can only be a certain level of awesome. You can be the best elopement officiant or celebrant out there, and some of you are. You create this intimate experience. I see the Instagram posts, whether it's candles on the bank of a river, maybe it's under a full moon. I mean, these look like incredible, intense, beautiful ceremony experiences. Maybe it's more private, so you have a few more unity rituals, things like that. But at a certain point, you are going to hit a ceiling that in your market, couples will not pay more than a certain price for an elopement experience because just because it's more private, more intimate, and it's less about the experience. I believe what drives prices in terms of the wedding industry is the experience that couples want to give their guests. So, you know where I'm going with this. The big wedding, if you are the kind of officiant or celebrant who can get in front of a room, make everybody laugh, make everybody cry, make the couple look amazing, put all of your attention on the couple, tell their story, put them in the spotlight, and give their guests an experience in the ceremony. A lot of couples, wedding planners, they're amazing at this. They think when the guests walk in, what do they see? How do they find their seat? What decor do they see? Are there games during cocktail hour? they just want to wow guests. Well, when you're a great wedding officiant or celebrant, you fit into that plan. A lot of couples, thankfully, it's changing because we are unboring the wedding industry, right? But up to now, it's just like, let's sit down, let's get through the ceremony, and then all that good stuff starts. When you can show that the ceremony you deliver is part of an experience that blows people away, you can start to ask for a higher fee, which it's not just about give me the money, give me the money. If you're a couple watching this who has done my wedding, or if you're a bride or groom considering, I mean, you know that a wedding officiant who can give you all their time, all their energy, crafting your ceremony, and they do it as a full-time job, it's just going to have another level of quality that somebody who is an accountant during the week and does this on weekends can provide, right? And so if a wedding officiant or celebrant needs to do 2 or 3 ceremonies on a Saturday, and I have done that, so, especially during the time of COVID, you might be able to get away with it here and there. But if this is the general practice of doing 2, 3, 4, 5 ceremonies in a weekend, it's just never going to be at that same level of somebody who is full time and even only has to do one wedding on a Saturday in terms of the energy, the care, the prep, and all that kind of stuff. So that is the other thing to consider, is if you're trying to grow not just your business, but your brand. And that is something I was really conscious of when I started Unboring Wedding. I said, I don't really want to dilute my brand as just a kind of an elopement person. I wanted to be known in Toronto as somebody who provided an incredible experience for brides, grooms, all their guests. And I wanted planners to know that and venue owners to know that, etc. Okay. So that is the way to start thinking about the services you are going to provide. Do you want to do elopements? Personally, I don't really want to do elopements. And so I don't put that on my website. Some couples reach up to me and say, I'm in a jam, or I'll have a photographer reach out to me and say, Mark, can you help this couple out? And when I do it, it's always wonderful and beautiful and rewarding. But it's just not something that I want to put my name out there as a service that I offer. So that's something you want to do. You want to do that? I know officiants and celebrants who don't want to do the big ceremony. They're mortified by it. They're uncomfortable by the big crowd. Hey, know that about yourself. That is the first that is the first step, is knowing what you're into, knowing what you don't want to do. Again, Pat Flynn, Will It Fly? I loved the questions and the exercise in that book to say, what if this really takes off? What if I hate doing big ceremonies, but everybody wants me to do a big ceremony, and I just keep going down that wormhole? And then I realize I'm trapped, I'm booked, I hate this, that kind of thing. Okay. So think about what services you want to provide. I'm going to take a breath, take a sip of my caffeinated eggnog. Any questions in the chat at all? I'm just going to go back here and see. And if nobody has anything to ask, I will just keep going. And then afterwards, you can really ask me anything at all. I'm totally open for that. Even if you think, this is a little bit off topic. I love being on here with you. So this is the thing about if you're into big ceremonies, say, let's just go with the big ceremonies. As John and I discussed on email, my training, my focus, everything that I do is really about the unboring part, which is the experience for couples. That is what I love doing. And so that comes out in my training. I just can't train anybody well how to do a quiet, intimate, 2-person wedding ceremony, because I really think you should teach what you know. And if you're super into eclectic unity rituals and things like that, man, lean into that. Find somebody who's great at that, and go for it. So I'm going to just put a pin in this because Judy says, what if you are not funny? I love that question because, Judy, I get the opposite question. And this is why I put, if you visit unboringwedding.com and go to my FAQs, I put on there a question like, I want couples to see this. Mark, I see a lot of laughing. Like all my promo pictures and things like that are of couples laughing and having a great time. And so my worry as a wedding officiant is couples will think that I'm like a jokester, that I tell lots of jokes, the old ball and chain or the old wedding night, wing, wing, nudge, nudge, that kind of thing. The cringy, awful wedding stuff. I don't want anyone to think that that's what I do. I'm not a stand-up comedian who's going to come in and tell a bunch of jokes. I don't tell a single joke in any wedding ceremony I do. All the laughter, Judy, comes from telling the couple's story. Anybody who has taken Unboring Wedding Academy knows how I teach to ask those 3 questions of a couple. And here they are. The first is, tell me about your first impressions. The laughing that happens in the ceremony is typically when he sees her or she sees him or whatever. It's a smoky bar, it's a high school hallway, and maybe one of them doesn't feel that great about the other. I just did a ceremony where, he showed up, they were being set up, it was a mutual gathering. He noticed her right away and was like, vavoom, or whatever one would say in that circumstance. And she noticed him. So, it went over huge, because it's really the way that I teach it in the course. It's just how you turn the phrase. You don't have to be funny, Judy. It's just a matter of looking at their answers. I noticed in their answers, he said, I saw her gorgeous eyes, her beautiful hair. I knew right away I wanted to talk to her. She said, I looked up and I saw him, period. So I told it that way. I said, he noticed her gorgeous eyes and her beautiful hair. He knew he wanted to sidle right up to her. And she noticed him. And that's all I said. And the place just roared, right? So that is an example of, so I say that in my FAQs, I'm not telling jokes. All of the fun comes out from those 3 questions. I'm going to circle back because I went down a tangent. Ask them their first impressions and first impression, their first date and how that went. And there's usually shenanigans in there. Like one of them is nervous or they spill something. My wife spilled pop all over me. And then she spilled pop all over herself on our second date. And then she knocked the tray out of the server's hand on our third date. So it was like, I knew what I was getting into in our first 3 dates. She just spilled drinks. I don't think she's done it since, so I've been okay. But that's an example of if I am getting married and my officiant asks me, I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to say she spilled a drink, etc., etc. That's hilarious. Everyone's going to love it. And then the third question, of course, is the proposal. It's usually super awkward or gets messed up along the way. Somebody's trying to ask the other person who doesn't know they're getting proposed to is messing it up all along the way, etc., etc., etc. So that is where all the gold is, Judy. You don't have to be funny. I know some people who take Unboring Wedding Academy, they're absolutely a deadpan personality. I've gotten on the phone in my emergency coaching package with people who find me 4 days before the wedding. I send them my script with an example story. They cobble something together based on that. I get on the phone with them. They're quite serious people. But then, of course, I follow up with them on Monday and they say, it absolutely slayed when I just told their first impressions and how different those were. And like the proposal story and how he was so nervous and, got down on one knee and couldn't think about anything that he had prepared. Just moments like that make people laugh. Okay. And that is what adds all the personableness to a wedding ceremony. Sam says, Mark, helps you be funny if a snafu happens. Well, thank you. I'm happy to say that that I help people be funny. But yes, Sam, to your point, when something bad happens, and I've told this story about this picture. It's in one of my YouTube videos. This is like the signature picture of my brand. What you don't know about this picture maybe is I said the groom's name wrong. I started calling him Ben. It's Joe. It was mortifying, which is if you look closely, you'll see that I'm blushing in this picture because I started saying Ben. She looked at Ben. She grabbed Ben's hand. I know how it ended up in my script. It was a sloppy, lazy copy and paste thing years ago that I did from another ceremony where I pasted something and then got carried away. And Joe and Ben both have 3 letters. Something happened where I started saying Ben. And people started laughing, and I thought, okay, I'm killing. But then he leaned over and he said, "It's Joe." And I was mortified. And what made it crazier is his brother's name is Ben. So Ben was the best man, and he's standing right there. It was just one of those crazy coincidences. If you saw it in a sitcom, you wouldn't believe it. So that made for a great photo, didn't it? I am actually absolutely mortified in this moment. And of course, my goodness, the couple were so gracious and laughed, and we just moved on. But I did say something like, "Ben, did any of this happen with you?" Or some, "You weren't there, were you, Ben?" Something like that. You just want to say, okay, I've been saying Ben. You want to name it to Sam's point. I teach this in Unboring Wedding Academy. If something unexpected happens, just say the thing that happened. I heard Conan O'Brien say this years ago. When you're doing live tapings and something falls, some of the gaffing or something, it makes a big noise. You don't just look at the camera and pretend it didn't happen. You name the thing. Like, we just had a gaffer fall. Is anything else is anybody hurt? Whatever. You name the thing, draw attention to it. You don't need to make a joke. You just draw attention to it and make light of it, as long as nobody needs an ambulance, and you move on. Okay, that's how you take away some of the tension. I don't want this to go too long for your sake, so I will get to the pricing piece as promised. So once you figure out what you want to offer, here is how you start out. And this is what I did. I'm going to preface this whole section by saying, do not undervalue your services, especially if you have come inside Unboring Wedding Academy and you use my method, my system, and my style of engaging the guests, getting everybody comfortable, laughing and relaxed. Again, not laughing because you're telling jokes, just asking them, "Are you ready to get these two hitched?" And everybody cheers and claps. There's so much positive regard in a wedding room, a ceremony space with all these people who love the couple getting married. You just unleash that. So if you provide that level of quality in a ceremony, don't start out and say, "I'm going to just charge $100. I'm going to, get so many weddings because I'm the cheapest officiant in town." There's two downsides to that. The first is couples are literally going to see that price and say, "This person can't be any good." That's the first thing. That's true of vendors as well, who just say, somebody just charging $100, they must not be very good at this. That's the first thing. I have had couples reach out to me specifically because I am the most expensive officiant that they come across. And that way they feel security in that right away. If other officiants are charging $300 and I'm charging $9, what does that say about my level of confidence, the level of demand, and the level of service, the expectation that I'm telling them they can have about me? So you got to consider that. Ultimately, you want to get to that point, but this is just for you starting out. Don't just charge a ridiculously low price when you are getting started. The first thing is about what that communicates to a couple. The second thing is, when you come in and start charging like $100 when everybody else is charging for other officiants and celebrants, that is a great way to build resentment for you among the officiant and celebrant community. So that is something to consider. And you might think, well, that's their problem, et cetera, et cetera. We're not going to deconstruct why or if they should or shouldn't. But if word gets out that you are putting your shingle out there, you're the new officiant on the scene, and you are grossly undercharging and undercutting everybody, that is not, it's just kind of that, it violates the collaboration over competition value that I think you want to have in the wedding community. So one of my stages in Unboring Wedding Pro, stage 6, the very last stage after we set up everything in the first 5 stages, is I teach you how to network with fellow colleagues, officiants among them, sit down, take them out for coffee, how to run that conversation. And you don't want to call them and word already be out, "Oh yeah, you're the rock solid, like bottom of the barrel, $50 per ceremony officiant." That's not a good way to start. Okay. So that said, don't come in too low. Also, don't start out saying, "I'm the best ceremony ever, $1,000, please." That's gonna, if you know what I'm saying. If you don't want to start too busy, then that is the way to, that'll be the way to do it. What I recommend, and this, I can't give you a number. So when people email me and say, what should I charge starting out? There's people in Australia, there's people in New Zealand, there's people in the UK, there's people in the States who find their way and are inside this community. That's awesome. Somebody purchased a course yesterday from Japan, Unboring Wedding Academy. I'm so thrilled. I think that's the first purchase from Japan. So I don't know what the going rate is in your part of the world, but that is important. You need to do a little bit of research, click around, Google wedding officiants in your area, and just start writing down prices for the kind of service you want to provide. So if you're into elopements, write down what the elopement package is. I assume you are going to turn into the greatest elopement celebrant or officiant of all time if you want to lean into elopements. If you want to do the unboring wedding style and system, and that is something that you're going to specialize in, that incredible experience for wedding guests. Couples are going to see it and go bonkers because it's incredible. Wedding vendors are going to see you do that and go, okay, this person's going on my referral list for sure. Write down the price of like a deluxe ceremony or that middle range ceremony, whichever one you want to focus on. And really, this is it. I've spent, how long have we been on live here? 40 minutes, 41 minutes. And this is the answer. Set your price to what the average going rate is in your market. So there might be one officiant like me who's really skewing the numbers and charges $900. There might be another, maybe the average is $350. I would say come in at around, make sure you do the proper math in terms of averages. But if everybody's charging 400, one is charging 9, you might want to say, okay, I'm gonna start at 4. Even if the 400, even if the officiant's charging 400 have 55 reviews on Google, don't come in under them, because if you're an unboring wedding officiant or celebrant, you are going to knock people's socks off right off the bat with your first couple bookings. And of course, in the course, I teach you get reviews, get photos like this. There's a reason why I plaster this stuff all over the place. My wife calls this the me wall. That's just something from our marriage that we need to, maybe I shouldn't talk about here. We laugh about it, but she's just like, oh, another picture for your me wall. But it's not the me wall. It's couples see this and they say, that is the experience I want. Okay, so I would recommend getting as many photos as you can. I teach in the course how to follow up with photographers, all the strategy in Unboring Wedding Pro. You want reviews, you want photos, and the more reviews and photos you get, then you can start scaling up your prices. I am increasing my price by $100 every year. I've had to start over twice. In Toronto, I launched my business, and this is the system I followed. This is why I so believe in this system, because then I moved to New Brunswick. Again, that design your life thing. Toronto was just too expensive, too crazy for my wife and I with our 2 little kids. There they are there. We just didn't want that life anymore. So we moved to New Brunswick where I could officiate full time. And I had to start over. Nobody knew me here. Nobody cared about me here. And so I had to cold call vendors. I had to go visiting. I had to get my card around. I had to start going to wedding shows. All the things that I teach inside Unboring Wedding Pro, I had to start over. And in Toronto, I went from $900 a ceremony, and I was still growing, back down to like 400 when I arrived here. Now, after a few years, I am back up to that average of $900 again. But that I'm practicing what I preach. Is that how it goes? When I came here, I didn't want to say, hey, in Toronto, I charge 9. I'm here, I'm 9. No, I looked at the average prices and said, okay, here's what I think people will pay. And I'm going to do the hard work of getting in front of more and more couples, guests, vendors, and slowly building up again. And now I'm totally booked solid for 2022. And yes, I charge on average twice the amount of everybody else, but that is just because that is the kind of quality that I want to provide. No one can tell you what kind of service you should be providing or what you should be charging. Okay, you don't have to apologize for being the elopement person. You don't have to apologize for charging $2,000 for a wedding and only getting 6 bookings in a year if that's what you want to do. So just make sure you're doing what's right for you. But the question that I get, how do I start? Don't go too low. It'll be very bad for you and your brand and your regard in the community. Don't go too high because you have no proof yet. Like, people are going to see your crazy price and say, well, how do I, there's no pictures, there's no reviews. When you want to get to praisey Christ, is that, should I drink more coffee or less when that starts? If you want to get to crazy price level, you need the photos and the reviews and the referrals from vendors to back that up. And that is what I teach in Unboring Wedding Pro, which is launching tomorrow. Take a breath, says my aunt. I just want to get it all in. Eric says, when starting out, I'd love it if I could send you my love story transcripts and pay you to read over them. Would you do that? Wow, putting me on the spot here. So I do have a coaching package. Eric, are you inside Unboring Wedding Academy? Because that comes with, typically people who buy the course, I feel like you are inside Unboring Wedding Academy. And so that, I believe you are, Eric. So that comes with, when you come inside Unboring Wedding Academy, half an hour on the phone with me. I'll read over your script, all that stuff. I want to help you launch. That is what this is all about. See, Eric? Yes, you are. Thought so. I actually recognize the V. I think when you signed up for the course, for some reason that showed up as like a favicon or something like that, an avatar, and it's very memorable. So absolutely, if you're inside the course, it comes with that. I am all about helping you launch, and part of that is you go through the course, you put all my training in action, and then you can send me your script and I'll read it over and we'll jump on the phone and all that good stuff. Okay. That said, I am about helping you launch. So I'm trying to create something here where you are not dependent on me. And this really is why I have not started a wedding officiant company. People ask me all the time, Mark, how come you don't have like a little army of officiants inside Unboring Wedding? That's just not, again, will it fly? That's not, I don't want to manage some people. I want to teach you how to launch your own thing. And so Unboring Wedding Pro is about that. I want to be here as a coach, as a mentor. Off you go like a rocket, and maybe you don't need me again in 2-3 years. Same thing with your website. If you purchase the course tomorrow, you get a ridiculous package that I'm launching in January, a free wedding officiant and celebrant website. That if you purchase Unboring Wedding Pro tomorrow, you get that service for free. It's going to be $497 when I launch it in January, but this came out of the officiant and celebrant community, especially those of you who wanted to go pro, when you started saying, I can do all the things you teach, Mark, except the website part is such a freaking pain. It's a major headache. Yeah, I can go on Squarespace or Wix or pay somebody, but it's a mess. And then you have to start talking about how to make it right for wedding officiants and celebrants. So over the last few months, I worked with a company called Jackets Creative here in New Brunswick. They created a wedding officiant website in a box that I am happy to offer you. I'm so excited to remove this hurdle for so many of you who are like, I need a website, but will it be any good? And how will I know it will convert? And how will I know it's right for officiants and celebrants? It's the kind of website that has the 5 parts you need, that my website has converted into getting couples to inquire, et cetera, and reach out to me. If you purchase Unboring Wedding Pro tomorrow, that service is going to be yours free when it launches. I'll literally email you and we'll get that process started. I deliver you your email, your website in a box. And so I'm so excited about that. That is another example of, I want you to launch. I want you to use that website for as long as you need it. You can discontinue it if you get to the point where you say, now I'm ready to buy a $5,000 website. That's great. But for the first couple of years, it's probably best for you to only spend $300 or $400 or $500 a year on a website to just bring in the business and grow. That is how I started. I started with a very ragtag WordPress website and still got to this level. So if you start with a great website, I just want to take that obstacle away from you. Same thing with Unboring Wedding Certified. That is something that is offered with Unboring Wedding Pro. When you finish the course and finish all the steps and challenges, I call them. Challenges in terms of after every stage, there is a little task for you to finish, just so you're tracking along. And when you're finished the 6 stages of the course and you've done the little challenges along the way, you're totally ready to go out there and network and go pro. And so once you've done all that, if you send me the quote unquote proof, the fruits of your labor, I will send you a badge. You can start posting it around, and some of you have done that. If you go to unboringwedding.com/certified, unboringwedding.com/certified, you'll see the incredible officiants and celebrants who have gone through both courses already. Unboring Wedding Academy and Unboring Wedding Pro sent me all the evidence, all the good stuff that they created, which allows me to endorse them and say, listen, I believe in this person. That's another thing. When you're getting started, I know it can be hard to get some traction. You want reviews, you want vendors to think well of you, but I also want to be a person who says, when couples visit you, look, you're Unboring Wedding certified. You've taken this training, you adhere to a standard of conduct and quality of service, and I can say, I endorse you getting out there. That's just another way that I want you to be able to launch. But of course, that is an annual thing. I charge $49 to renew every year because I want that certification to mean something. I want it to mean something to you, to the public. And if you decide I don't need that badge anymore, you just say, Mark, thank you. I'm now in the stratosphere, and I don't really need that badge anymore, or the website, or anything else. I'm always here for you, but we don't want any weird codependency, right? So that is my passion, is launching you, whatever step you are along the way. A new terrified officiant who wants to learn how to do it, Unboring Wedding Academy. Now you want to launch a business, but you're terrified, Unboring Wedding Pro. Now you're out there and you want me to endorse you, Unboring Wedding Certified. You want a website, but you don't know where to turn, the Unboring Wedding website that I'm offering you. So that is really what I came on here to say today. Hope you found that helpful in terms of think about the packages you actually want to offer, and how to set your prices. I'll keep getting asked the question, but maybe I can just send them this link now and say, at the 40-minute mark, I'll tell you what you need to do. What you need to do. And so, yes, Sharon, testimonials are so important, which is why in Unboring Wedding Pro, that is one of the challenges. Assuming Unboring Wedding Pro is only available to people who have taken the first course. That's why I'm offering a bundle tomorrow for anybody who has not purchased the first course but really wants the second. It's crucial for me when you're starting your business to master the ceremony. So I have no interest in teaching Unboring Wedding Pro, the business side, to anybody who does not absolutely crush the ceremony. That is why I'm only making the second course available to people who've taken the first course. And so I assume even if you bundle, you're going to officiate for a friend or family member or something like that. Then you'll start officiating a couple more. Get those reviews on your website as quickly as possible. That's all couples need to see, is 1 or 2 rave reviews from somebody else. And again, if you're priced at the average, and I'll teach you how to network in the course and all that, you don't just sit around waiting for the phone to ring. There's a strategy for how to get out there, get known, get found, get booked. But the testimonials are a key part of that, absolutely. Hey, John, I don't know if there'll be a replay. I'm so sorry. I got this software called Restream. I know I'm able to go live. I think it will be locked in and saved and up there as a video you can rewatch. I know it's Thanksgiving Day and a lot of you have got turkey and potatoes and football to get to, which is why I want to do this sort of more in the morning. Gwen says, is it the template or do we need to host the website on your server and pay for it? So the template. So just a bit more detail about that. The website it's built already. So I'm taking care of the hosting. You send me your domain. We'll work on that. I want you to own the thing, but I am hosting it for as long as you want your website to exist. I send you basically the look is all done. You can tweak colors and of course change the photos and stuff. But in terms of the layout, the second you get it, you do a couple of tweaks, your new website can be up in about an hour. Okay, so this is more for people who don't have a website and they're terrified and overwhelmed at the thought of getting one. In order to launch a pro business, couples really need to see that www.whatever.com that they can click and know you're legit. I know for me, if I am looking for a plumber or something like that, and I go to Google My Business, if they have a website that I can visit, in my mind, they're going to be bumped up in terms of the likelihood of me actually reaching out to them. A website just really says a lot to your legitimacy and your authority. Yeah, thanks, Gwen. I just noticed that it is a major headache for people who wanted to get started. And even last year, I did this live, Unboring Wedding Pro live for a couple of cohorts, just putting it together by the skin of my teeth, the seat of my pants, so to speak. Those people were absolutely incredible. And because they were the ones who said, Mark, do your pro training. We were all locked down because of COVID. And I said, okay, I'll jump on Zoom and I'll kind of turn this into a sort of fledgling course. I've spent the last 9 months turning it into an online course with all the videos, training, resources, and all that stuff. It's just waiting for you. I'm launching it tomorrow. But the big thing I noticed from that cohort too was, man, the website part just feels insurmountable. And even if I put something together, it's a mess. And it was the biggest struggle. So again, how do we launch you as fast as possible? You just purchase this package. Here's your website. You swap in your name, your packages, a couple of photos, maybe put a different color than the one that's on the theme, and you're good to go. A couple lands on that, and they know what you stand for. They know your prices. They know the kind of service you provide, and they can inquire through the website. Okay, so that is free tomorrow, but and then it's also going to be offered in January as a package. Okay, Sharon, you're ashamed to say you haven't completed the first class. Don't be ashamed. You can get involved in the next class. It's not live, of course. It is an online course. Just like if you have Unboring Wedding Academy, tomorrow you can get Unboring Wedding Pro for 50% off plus the website package. And it's sitting there waiting for you, almost like season 2 of your favorite show or whatever. It's coming out whether you watch it tomorrow, tonight, or in 6 months from now. That's how you can get involved, so to speak. Sharon, I'm glad you're here because I know we have been going back and forth a bit about prices. If you have any questions right now and you want to talk about it now instead of email, please do so. Hey, Jackie, it's awesome to see you here. Happy Thanksgiving to you. I see I missed the website stuff, cost of that. So AJ, the cost in January when I launched this, DFY done for you website package is going to be $497. But tomorrow, I can't believe it, but I'm offering it free to anybody who purchases Pro because, again, Pro teaches you A to Z how to launch your business. We talk about how to set up your branding. Then we talk about how to write like a copywriter. And I've taken 9 months of copywriting training, and I give you all the best practices. So when you're sitting in front of your computer and need to market yourself as a pro, you know exactly what to write. Then we talk about the website building. But if you buy my package, it's almost like a shortcut. Like my kids, when we play Mousetrap, there's one, if you land on one of the squares, you get to go through a tunnel and basically cut off half the board. Any other Mousetrap fans here? This is like that. You purchase that and you're like, the website thing, even though Mark teaches a whole stage on it, oh my gosh, it's taken care of. Okay, then I teach you how to prep for your chemistry check, get your contract in place, think about payment like we discussed here, and then how to network. So you don't do all that work and then just sit staring at your email inbox waiting for something to come in, right? So that is the course of the course. One of those parts is the website. Tomorrow, you can literally get that service free if you purchase tomorrow. And then January, I will contact you and basically say, what's your domain name? Here's your website. So that is what's going on. Claudia, man, every time you're around, it's like a breath of fresh air. Claudia was one of the years ago, came inside Unboring Wedding Academy. I still remember sitting on the deck in Toronto, being on the phone with you, and your energy. And what you have done with kick-ass weddings has just been absolutely awesome. Okay, I see Liz saying here in Florida, officiants are not in the same page. How do you mean? I'd love to know what you mean. Once you sign up on Pro, how much time will you have to access it? Oh, it's like Unboring Wedding Academy. You're in for life. So if you are inside Unboring Wedding Academy, you have it for life. Somebody who bought the course in 2017, they still have it now. And in fact, of course, I keep updating it, making it better. I reshot the whole course last year just so that my graying hair would be more consistent. I don't want you to see me like this and then go on and see a video from 2017 where my hair was shiny and dark. You should see the real me the way I am now. Anyway, that is just I'm always updating it with my latest strategies and thinking. For example, the Unboring Wedding formula is something that as I taught it more and more, I realized I want to put that in there. And so the course gets updated. It's there. You're in for life. It's not going anywhere. And Pro is just the same way. Okay. Let me see. Any other questions about? Yeah, Peter, that's awesome. I'm so thrilled that you are inside Unboring Wedding Academy. Any other questions here? You have a website already, but you'd like to switch. How would that work? So in terms of, I don't want to get too into the technical weeds here, but basically it would work by you just unhooking your domain name. If you have like richardhenry.com, Richard Henry Weddings, I send you the website. The only thing that I would have to do is take your domain and point it in the hosting, which I'm going to take care of, to your new website. That really is it. If you have an existing website and you're not thrilled with it, you can buy the new one. And it really is. It's just like swapping your address, right? I don't want to get too much into the tech weeds. But basically, you're just going to take your web domain name, richardhenryweddings.com or whatever, point it. And so when somebody types that in, they go to the new website instead of your old one. Then you can disable your old one. I just did that a couple of times this year with my own website, Unboring Wedding Academy. I switched to a new platform, Unboring Wedding rather, and then Unboring Wedding Academy, I switched to a new platform as well. It's complicated, but not that complicated. But the point of the package is I handle all this stuff for you. Me and my tech team, people who are a little bit more tech brainiac than me, handle all this stuff. And again, it's about getting you launched. You can keep that website and all of the updates and stuff for years, or you can just do it for a year or two and say, okay, now I'm ready to go on to a bigger and better website. Oh, I see. They don't charge the same. Okay, yeah. Officiants in Florida don't charge the same. So you're saying like the average would be tough, or I still feel like even in markets where that's true, it's about how you communicate what you provide. So that's the whole stage 2 of Unboring Wedding Pro is writing like a copywriter. I visit lots of wedding officiant websites just as part of what I do. I'm seeing what's out there, especially in certain markets. And it's not well explained the benefits. We'll talk about this in the course. The benefit, you have to lead with the benefit. What is the couple going to experience? That's why photos and videos, photos and reviews of people saying we laughed, we cried, the story was incredible. You want to lead with the benefits. What is the transformation that is going to happen for this couple? What are they looking for? What's their pain point? Why are they on your website? How do you answer that right away and say, oh, okay, this person is speaking my language? So yeah, you are going to get the officiants that are charging $200 and you're going to get the officiants that are charging $2,000. Each of those price points communicates something right away. And so that's where I'm saying when you're getting started, don't go too low. That's why just the law of averages, then of course, you need to flex that a little bit one way or the other to be right for you. You can do that absolutely. Okay, it's around the 1 hour mark. I'm getting a bit hoarse, I guess. Maybe it's because my aunt came on here and said, take a breath. But any other questions at all before I get off? This is really kind of what I wanted to get on here and say is you can launch the same way people who take Unboring Wedding Academy are stunned when they get out there the very first time and they themselves are the best wedding officiant they've ever seen. And they're like, holy crap, it's me that's the best wedding officiant anyone's ever seen, me included, because they apply the Unboring Wedding method, style, and system. This is the same. You can get out there and launch your pro business from this incredible skill you have, even if you just want to do it as a side hustle. So many of you email me and say, that was a blast. I've been asked to do it a couple more times for friends and relatives. Can I do this as a side business? Yes, absolutely. And some of you have decided to go full time with it. It is an absolute blast. And I really feel like the demand for this kind of ceremony is absolutely growing. The tolerance for a ceremony you got to sit through for just 20, 25 minutes, half an hour, or God forbid, an hour, it's dropping rapidly. especially as less and less weddings are happening in churches. So if you can be there to meet that need and give couples and wedding guests the experience that everybody wants, you are poised to do this if you absolutely want to do it. Okay, I am going to thank you, Carol. Pro is so worth it. Carol was one of the folks who went in on the live cohort last year. So, Carol, that means a lot coming from you. And now all that training is slicked up, sharpened up, and it's ready for you on an online course format, which is launching tomorrow with that ridiculous deal of a free website. So Gwen, man, thank you. I love hearing from you. Best investment you ever made for your business. It was the cost of one wedding. I know, right? And now you've 50 love stories. I've seen the pictures. I've seen the review, Gwen. Yeah, you're just killing it. Judy says, how long is your ceremony? Great question. So I teach in Unboring Wedding Academy that your story part, the monologue part, should be about maybe 12 minutes tops. And it can be, even if it's a great story, you'll notice the couple start to peek over your binder because they're facing each other and you're right there. And I notice when a bride is starting to do this to see how many more pages you have left. So I've come to the conclusion that 10, 12 minutes tops is your speaking part. And then, of course, it's whatever the couple wants to pack in around that, which is the planning session, right? My book here, Wedding Zero to Ceremony Hero, talks about that planning session. So if the couple wants 62 rituals, lighting candles, sand, fire, doves, flyovers, tying them up, jumping over brooms, hey, they can do all that. My ceremonies, couples typically maybe add one unity ritual. Most don't. So it's about 25, 30 minutes tops where I get up there, give those opening remarks, get everybody excited and involved. And then the processional, however long that happens, get right into their story and all that stuff that I teach in Unboring Wedding Academy, that exact method for about 12 minutes. Then we move into vows, rings. In Canada, we do a signing. And I know a lot of Americans are trying this out now because I've talked it up so much. When you go sign the papers in the ceremony and a fun song is playing because you just pronounced them and they kissed and everybody cheered. It's such a cool vibe. And so we come back and then I give some closing remarks, get everybody on their feet and send them out. Typically, that's a tight 25 minutes. You know that look that you have at a theme park when you're waiting in line and the roller coaster pulls up and everyone's like, and they're getting out and you're about to get on that ride? I feel like that's the look that people have when I send a couple up the aisle and they throw the rose petals or whatever. They're just like, that was an amazing experience. I love that. So if 25 minutes, but if the couple wants to make it an hour, I suppose they can. The cost of Pro tomorrow, we're getting right down to brass tacks. Awesome, Scott. The price is going to be $597. Pro costs $297. If you are not inside Unboring Wedding Academy, I'm only making it available to people who have the first course. So if you don't have Unboring Wedding Academy, you need to be inside Unboring Wedding Academy to have Pro. I am offering that as a bundle tomorrow, both courses for $397 because I don't want that impediment. Okay, so that's all weekend. That's like till Monday. But the website thing is just tomorrow. Okay, the free website bonus is just tomorrow. So $297 for Pro, $397 for both courses as a bundle because I want you to get in if you say, well, I haven't gotten Unboring Wedding Academy. And then past the weekend, Tuesday, of course, things will be going back to regular price, $597. Okay, so that's the pricing. AJ, you're in. I'm so thrilled. I believe you're on my list. So I'm going to be, posting links and stuff tomorrow. You won't be able to miss it. And so that is going live tomorrow. And so it's ready tomorrow. To sign up tomorrow. Carol, a Black Friday special. Exactly. Okay, so of course, once you're in, I hope to be doing a lot more lives like this in the new year. I have been working my tail off creating this course, moving all my courses over to Kajabi. So both courses live on Kajabi, which Kajabi is just awesome, not just because it's a better user experience for everybody. My previous platform was getting a bit clunky, but you have an app. I just love that. On your phone, you pull up the Kajabi app right there. And when you open the Kajabi app, look, the courses are right there. Of course, I am already inside. I got early access as the creator. But when I click Unboring Wedding Pro, there it is on my phone. So that's true of both courses. So cool. I always wanted an app. And by moving over to Kajabi, now you guys get the app as well. Because I heard a lot of people saying, Mark, I want to take you on the road, but it's clunky. Can I just do the audio? Yes, you can. All that good stuff. That's an example of somebody who purchased Unboring Wedding Academy in 2017, for example. There was no app, there was no only audio, there was none of that good stuff. So I'm constantly updating it for new folks, but of course, those who came in years ago, like Claudia, one of the original founding members, are always benefiting from the upgrades and the updates. Scott, you're already an Academy graduate. Awesome. You killed it. Yes. And you are ready to add this. So you're on the list. You are going to get that offer tomorrow to go pro. And I'm so excited to work with you. As you know, then you can email me and we're connected any and all the time. All right, I should sign off here. I love this. This is feeding my extrovert love tank, but I don't want to wear out my welcome. Claudia, nobody said old member. I think I said founding member. You've been with us a long time, but you don't look a day over. Anyway, keep doing those kick-ass ceremonies, Claudia. Absolutely love it. All right, I think this went well, live streaming in both places. A lot of you said, is this recorded? I'm about to find out when I sign off. In fact, I'm not even sure how to end this thing. Oh, there is a button that says end stream. I plan to be on here a lot more because I absolutely love this. Happy Thanksgiving. AJ, I think you're getting my emails. I'm going to go and check in my CRM right now. But if you're not, I'm going to seek you out, AJ, because I want you inside pro. And I do want you to get that website package if you're interested in that tomorrow. Yes, seasoned members and newbies and anywhere in between. I absolutely love getting to serve you. I love that I get to officiate weddings full time, and I'm just thrilled that you're in part of this community. And I'm so happy in the new year. Like I said, I've been working my tail off for 9 months, building the website package, building the pro course. That in the new year, if you're like, wow, Mark's been pretty quiet. Mark has been doing what Mark doesn't love doing. I know talking in the third person is a bit creepy, which is behind a keyboard creating and building things. I love being out and helping you and serving you and answering questions and things like that. So you're thankful for how you've explained the future ahead with the pro package. Good to hear from you, Jennifer. Yeah, I want you to know what to expect. I want you, and again, I don't want a weird codependency relationship. It's all about launching you. I don't want any obstacles for you in terms of, I love doing this. I've done such a great job. Other people want to do this, but I'm too scared. I don't know where to start. Just having done this and seeing so many people like Carol and Claudia who've helped me help figure out how to teach this well and things like that. I'm just so thrilled to do this. Okay. Don't want to beat a dead horse. Love y'all. Marry on. Have a great Thanksgiving. Those of you who are in the States, and you will hear from me, especially AJ, tomorrow with more great stuff. And again, free website tomorrow, Black Friday special all weekend. And I'm here for you. Reach out anytime. Have a good one, everybody.